The 2025 NFL Draft is just a few months away, and you know what that means. It's officially NFL mock draft season. And with that being said, today I am sharing my post-Senior Bowl mock draft 2.0 ahead of the Super Bowl as we gear up for the 2025 NFL Combine. This mock draft 2.0, as always, you can find the full first-round mock draft, all 32 picks, in its written form on our website, footballscout365.com. And while you are visiting the site, don't forget to check out all of our other additional NFL draft content, including exclusive player evaluations, positional rankings, NFL draft scouting reports, and a lot more. Again, you can find all of that on our website, footballscout365.com. Now, the 2025 NFL draft class, as I've been saying, it's a very defensive heavy NFL draft class. It's led by Michigan's Mason Graham, the dominant interior defensive lineman, my number one overall prospect currently, followed by Abdul Carter at Penn State, who is into position to be the number 2 overall player on my NFL draft board. Either one of these two players should be the number 1 overall pick, in my opinion, in this draft class. They are followed by Michigan defensive back Will Johnson and Colorado athlete, wide receiver, corner, whatever he decides to do, Travis Hunter, the rare two-way talent, the Heisman Trophy winner from this past season. Now, these 4 defenders are all expected to go, in my opinion, within the top 5 picks of the 2025 NFL Draft. I feel like at least one quarterback is going to get snuck in there some way, somehow. Everybody already knows how I feel about the quarterback class, which is led by Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders currently. Now, barring any kind of craziness happening, maybe Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, somebody jumping up, I don't really see that happening. I do believe Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward will be the 2 top quarterback prospects in this draft class. There's a lot of hype around Shedeur Sanders possibly going to the New York Giants, a lot of hype out there for Cam Ward in that particular spot. There's a lot of hype for either one of these 2 players being picked number 1 overall in this particular draft, just based on need at, the highest level position in football, the quarterback position. Just for comparison's sake, if either one of these 2 guys were to have entered last year's QB class, they would have both been QB5 or QB6 in last year's class alone. So that's how I feel about this particular draft class. Some other people feel a lot differently. Now, beyond Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward, there are a couple of other quarterback names to keep an eye on throughout this process. Jackson Dart being one of those. A lot of people are hyped up on him potentially sneaking into the first round, the late part of the first round of this draft class. Jalen Milroe being a guy that I've seen people even say that he could jump up into the top 15, top 10 picks of this class. I don't think that's going to happen. Quinn Ewers is also a part of this draft class. So is Kyle McCord. Kyle McCord is a sneaky quarterback to keep an eye on. Also keep an eye out for Ohio State quarterback Will Howard, the transfer from Kansas State, just had that monster run in the college football playoff. I do think that he's a guy that could absolutely elevate as we get closer to the 2025 NFL Draft. Now, several players went out and elevated their draft stock after dominant performances down in Mobile, Alabama at the Senior Bowl. 2 players you're going to notice right away here in the top 10 of this mock draft 2.0. Mike Green, the edge rusher out of Marshall, and Shemar Stewart, the edge rusher out of Texas A&M. Both of these players had excellent weeks down in Mobile, Alabama, and both players could absolutely be drafted in the top 10 picks of the 2025 NFL Draft. All right, so let's dive into this mock draft 2.0. And with the number 1 overall pick, we have the Tennessee Titans, and they are going to select Penn State edge rusher Abdul Carter. Now, this is a bold move for the Tennessee Titans, a team that a lot of people are projecting that they're going to draft Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward with this number 1 overall pick. But in my opinion, you cannot pass on the talent of Abdul Carter or Mason Graham here at the top of the draft order. Now, this means that the Tennessee Titans are going to move forward for one more year with Will Levis at quarterback. Maybe they kick the tires in the trade market in the offseason. Whatever the case may be, this is an absolute home run choosing Abdul Carter out of Penn State. Now, with the number 2 overall pick, the Cleveland Browns, they are going to select Michigan interior defensive lineman Mason Graham. Now, the Browns are going to land arguably the best defender in this draft class. They're going to pair him with Myles Garrett. It's going to create one of the most dominant defensive fronts in the NFL. Now, obviously, the Browns need a quarterback. There are some players out there to kick the tires on in terms of trades or free agency here in the offseason. I think one speculative player to keep an eye on would be Kirk Cousins, who does have a prior relationship with Kevin Stefanski. Now, with the 3rd overall pick, the New York Giants, they're going to select a quarterback. It is going to be Miami's Cam Ward. Now, here's my speculation. This is all pure speculation. I do think all the Shedeur Sanders hype might be them kind of signaling, trying to test the market to see who's willing to trade up into this spot for a quarterback. There might be a belief that there's some teams behind them, like the Las Vegas Raiders, for example, that need a quarterback as well. Their interest in Shedeur Sanders could be higher than other teams in this particular draft. I think them taking Cam Ward in this spot makes a lot of sense. If they're going to take a quarterback, they could absolutely take Shedeur Sanders at the end of the day. Maybe it isn't just speculation after all, but I do think that we are in that, smoke and mirrors season of this particular process where teams are kind of posturing what they may or may not do. But overall, I think this is a big time get for the Giants. They need to add a quarterback in this draft class, whether it's with the 3rd overall pick, whether they trade out of this spot, whether they trade this pick and they end up with a quarterback via trade or via free agency, maybe Sam Darnold. I feel like Sam Darnold would be an excellent fit paired with Brian Daboll and the New York Giants. But in this particular spot, we're going to go with Cam Ward at 3rd overall. Now with the 4th overall pick, the New England Patriots, they're going to select Travis Hunter, the athlete, as I have him listed on our draft board, out of Colorado. Now, whether he's playing corner full-time and wide receiver part-time or vice versa, whatever the case may be, you are getting an absolute football player at a position of need. They need a corner, they need a wide receiver, they need offensive firepower. This is the guy to go after if you want to check both boxes at the end of the day. I do believe he is one of 4 guys that should absolutely be drafted within the top 5 picks of the NFL draft, regardless of whether you need a quarterback or not. I feel like Travis Hunter would be an absolute steal at pick 4 overall. Now with the 5th overall pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to select Michigan cornerback Will Johnson. This is an absolute steal. This is a player that, in my opinion, could go number 1 or 2 overall in this draft class. This is addressing one of their bigger needs. This is a long, physical corner with elite coverage skills. He can play in press man coverage. He can play in zone coverage. It doesn't matter. This is a potential number 1 corner for years to come for them, and a player that has drawn comparisons to Patrick Surtain throughout this draft process. Now with the number 6 pick, the Las Vegas Raiders, they're going to select Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback from Colorado. The Raiders are going to land their franchise quarterback in Shedeur Sanders. And what Sanders actually brings to the table is elite level accuracy, calm presence under pressure, NFL level poise and mechanics. And with the noted relationship between him and Tom Brady and him being the minority owner of the Las Vegas Raiders, this pick makes perfect sense. Now with the 7th overall pick in the draft, the New York Jets, they're going to select my tight end 1 in this draft class, and that is Colston Loveland out of Michigan. Now the Jets are grabbing a dynamic playmaker here. Loveland is a mismatch nightmare in the passing game. He automatically elevates this offense forward. And if the Jets are able to retain Garrett Wilson on the outside as well, it's going to open things up for this offense in a massive way. But at the end of the day, regardless of who you have at quarterback, whether it's Aaron Rodgers, maybe you go out and you make a trade for another quarterback and you move on from Aaron Rodgers, or you draft one on day 2 or 3 of the draft and you move ahead in that kind of a way, this would be an instant upgrade for this Jets offense. Now at pick number 8, the Carolina Panthers, they're going to go with Senior Bowl standout Mike Green, the edge rusher out of Marshall. They're going to get one of the biggest risers in this NFL draft class. This is a guy that I believe is going to elevate into the top 10 pick conversation of this draft class. He, in my opinion, reminds me of Quinyon Mitchell from a year ago. I was very high on Quinyon Mitchell even before the Senior Bowl. Quinyon Mitchell was my cornerback 1. I love this guy's game. He can switch from speed to power, a relentless motor off the edge of the defense, the ability to disrupt plays in the backfield and the run game as well. Carolina will be adding a true defensive playmaker with this pick. Now at pick number 9 overall, the New Orleans Saints, they're going to select edge rusher Mykel Williams out of Georgia. Now with Cam Jordan nearing retirement, the Saints, they are going to reload on defense with Mykel Williams. This guy has positional versatility to play inside or outside. He's an explosive player. He still needs to develop as a pass rusher off the edge, but he's a very powerful defender in the run game as well. Now with the 10th overall pick, we've got the Chicago Bears. They're going to select another Senior Bowl riser, and that is edge rusher Shemar Stewart out of Texas A&M. They're going to get a major boost on their defense by taking Shemar Stewart. This guy possesses elite size and power off the edge, the ability to set the edge in the run game, and this guy has pass rush upside with room to develop. Chicago is getting a future defensive cornerstone with this pick, and in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinion, this is a player that could start to rise up the draft board a little bit more. He might not even be available at pick number 10 for the Chicago Bears, because there's a lot of people out there hyping him up in the same way that we had seen Travon Walker getting hyped up just a few short years ago. Okay, so that's going to wrap up the Mock Draft 2.0. Let me know in the comments section, do you agree with these picks? Who would you draft instead? And also, don't forget to check out the full 32-team mock draft on our website, footballscout365.com. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned for more great NFL draft content.